kind of give us the perspective why you're running again. I think you were seeking your 6th or 7th term.
This is my 7th term.
7th term. Tell us why you're still at it here.
Well, I mean, it's an honor to serve the residents of the 122nd district, which now once again includes all of Carbon County, I enjoy the work that I do, and I think we've gotten some things done. I always think there's more that can be done. This upcoming term, I'm looking forward to serving in a position of more leadership as a chairman of a committee in the House. I think we'll be able to be even more effective.
Would that be appropriations?
No, well, I don't know which committee yet, but it'll
because
because of the seniority.
Okay.
But I mean, I think we've gotten some good pieces of legislation done, and work very hard for our district, and we're going to continue to do that going forward. And I'm happy with the support that we've received over the years from the residents of Carbon County.
Okay. You said some legislative things got through. What can you give examples of getting some things done?
Yeah, this past session we worked on a bill dealing with blight. We got that signed into law by the governor. We also earlier this session we got a bill passed called Justin's Law, which dealt with recovery houses and dealing with the opioid and fentanyl epidemic that we're seeing. We've done a lot of work in that realm over the past 8 years, and really we were seeing a positive trend in declining overdose deaths until we got really hit hard right now with the fentanyl, which is, I wouldn't even classify it as a narcotic, but more of a poison. And it's really just decimating so many young people and so many lives. But we're seeing the crime wave that is really occurring in our urban areas like Philadelphia, where we're seeing record murder rates, but also open air drug markets where these drugs are being peddled, and they're coming and filtrating throughout all of Pennsylvania and Carbon County. So we want to take more steps. The bill that I had passed and signed was brought to my attention through a local family that had come into my office, and their son had like many had fallen victim to the opioid epidemic. We started with prescription pain pills and then blossomed into an addiction, and unfortunately the young man wound up dying of an overdose while he was in a recovery house. He had left the recovery house, and the parents were not notified. So my legislation simply states that if somebody leaves a recovery house, and there was companion legislation for addiction treatment facility, that their emergency contact, who was ever listed on that form, would be contacted. Because the parents had explained to me, had they had the opportunity, they would have done anything they could to go and search for their son, who was I think it was in Lancaster, in a recovery house where he passed away. I think that was the county he was in, but they didn't know. So we actually changed the law now in Pennsylvania. If somebody leaves or is thrown out of a recovery house or an addiction treatment facility, they need to, that facility would have to contact their emergency contact, so they would know. We know that most people that go into recovery relapse at some point or another, and that's why this fentanyl is just decimating people, because when they're relapsing, they wind up getting fentanyl and overdosing. We want to make sure that the prevention obviously is key. We just had our Drug and Alcohol Awareness Expo. We've been doing that now for several years, bringing awareness to the drugs that are out there on our streets, partnering with law enforcement and recovery facilities. We have drug courts now in Carbon County, which we didn't have when I first took office. But at the same time, we want to prevent it. We want to help those folks in recovery, and we want to give the tools to our law enforcement and treatment facilities to deal with it. So it's we did a task force years ago in dealing with the opioid crisis, and we changed how prescription drugs are prescribed. Doctors now have to be trained on addiction. So those are all good things. But now, it's like we're moving forward to take it, and then this fentanyl, which is really, I think, needs to be our next priority moving forward. We have to aggressively go after that. I've actually introduced legislation to enhance the sentencing up to 20 years for somebody that's dealing fentanyl.
What's it at now?
15.
Okay.
I would like to see it mandatory because I really do believe that this is more of a poison than it is even a narcotic.
Politicians always want to change things.
Mm-hmm.
What in the district is going good and that you will keep supporting? I mean, they always want to change. Oh, I got new ideas in this. What is one thing that's going good and that you're going to keep supporting?
Well, I think Carbon County right now, I think we're faring pretty well. There's always opportunities, the things that you want to grow on and improve, but I think that the expansion of healthcare right now in Carbon County, we have 2 brand new hospitals being built and operating. St. Luke's and Lehigh Valley Health Networks built new hospitals. We have a lot of urgent care and healthcare facilities, a lot of new practitioners coming into Carbon County. So I would continue to expand upon that. Used to be, if you were from Carbon County and you had a medical emergency, a lot of times when I was growing up, when I was young, you had to go to Philly, right? If you were going to get certain types of cancer treatments or anything like that, you had to go to Philly. Or then, you had to go to the Lehigh Valley. Now, you can go right to Mahoney Township, to Franklin Township, right to Jim Thorpe. You can stay right here local. Bringing those services into the community is a tremendous benefit. The fact that we're going to have a level 4 trauma center at the new St. Luke's Emergency Department in Carbon County, we actually had to change the law. We worked to change the law to allow them to have a trauma center because there's restrictions on how close trauma centers could be located to each other. It was like a half-mile airline miles that we were out. So we actually worked with my Lehigh Valley delegation, myself, and members in the Northeast, pulled together. We actually changed the law by a half mile to allow them to build that. But when you think about it, a level 4 trauma center is something we never had access to before in Carbon County. And we have 3 ski resorts. We have the Pennsylvania Turnpike right there. So we have these cases, so they deem it that we're going to be able to have that level of care. I would like to expand upon that and continue that. I think there's going to be some opportunities coming up in the next session with some of the the PA Supreme Court rulings dealing with venue shopping, which they throughout 20 years of precedent and regulation, which stopped the venue shopping for medical malpractice, which, as we know, had caused huge medical malpractice insurance costs, and we had physicians leaving the state. So we're going to have to address that, or we could lose a lot of those gains. So I would like to see continued expansion to access to healthcare in Carbon County. I think there's been a lot of infrastructure projects. The DNL, Rails to Trails, has been a tremendous boom for the tourism economy in Carbon County. We've gotten a couple of bridge projects done. There's been some other infrastructure. There's always more highway work to be done. Stopping the tolls on Route 80, and now that bridge is going to be redone without the tolls, which would have been detrimental to our economy. I think that's great. I think we want to try to expand access to Pennsylvania clean natural gas energy and grow upon that in Carbon County. So I think there's a lot of avenues where we can really move forward. Having veterans courts right now in Carbon County, something we didn't have before, working with the PCCD on grants for drug courts and veterans courts and expanding that access to treatment for those people that are incarcerated. I'm all for tough on crime. Trust me, I support the capital punishment, and I'm all for tough on crime. But if we're going to put somebody in a facility and not get them the treatment that they need and then release them, they're just going to go back to their habits, and we're not doing anything. So while we have them in a facility like that, we're going to try to get them the treatment that they need. So I think those are some of the things that we want to continue to build upon.
Would you vote for or against a bill that would abolish abortions?
I have a record of being pro-life. I don't foresee Pennsylvania getting to that point from my time in the legislature to say we're going to outright ban it. I have always allowed for rape, incest, and the life of the mother. I've always stated that on anything. So I'm not saying if somebody if a 12-year-old is raped or any kind of rape or any kind of incest or the life of the mother. Obviously. But I do think.
So you would support an abortion in those cases?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I've been always very clear on that. I do think that abortions up to 9 months are just unless it's in the event of the life of the mother, I just can't really comprehend why anybody would think that's okay. I did vote for the heartbeat bill, saying that once a heartbeat is detected. I think there's a lot of avenues that we can promote for birth control. There's a lot of different things that people can do to prevent getting pregnant. I also voted for to not allow for abortions strictly by a diagnosis of somebody with Down syndrome. I don't think we should. I just think that's a slippery slope, and I think I know families. I sponsor a resolution every year for Down Syndrome Awareness Day. and just what a blessing people of every different level are to our society, and the fact that we would do that, to me, just is infanticide. I just don't think that's where our society should go. But I'm also, as being pro-life, I'm pro-child. I want to, I support a lot of it, making sure that we're taking care of babies and making sure that that families are going to have opportunities to raise a family. And also, I think one of the things that we really need to do across our Commonwealth is expand access to OB care for women, but also we need more delivery hospitals in the state of Pennsylvania. We used to deliver babies in Carbon County, we don't. Just having family members that had to drive an hour to a delivery center. And we've had babies that are born on the way en route to the hospital on ambulances. So we need to look at that. It shouldn't just, when we look at reproductive rights, it should also be about how do we make sure that we're there to promote babies. I love babies, so.